Time to check in. How's everybody's end of the year crunch time going so far? Gabe is currently attempting to get into Horizon Forbidden West, of which I have already platinumed. I'm playing Shovel Knight Dig on Apple Arcade of all places, and it is really good. We're also playing Dying Light 2, and Escape Academy, and Splatoon 3, and Nobody Saves the World. And yeah, there just went all of my free time, but it's video games, guys. Never forget, this is America's favorite pastime, the greatest hobby on earth, the ultimate form of media, and we get to enjoy it together. So if you're looking for some games to play with friends, you came to the right place, where we talk about all the co-op games that came out last month, what co-op games are coming out in the next month, and any co-op news in between. That's right, it's the Co-op Monthly for September. Let's get started.
Even though we had a rather slim month in terms of notable releases, there's still some good titles here to round up, starting with Temtem. Officially launching out of early access, Temtem landed with a strong 76 on OpenCritic. John Carson of Game Informer gave the full release an 8.5, saying this: "With a unique battling system and an engaging MMO structure, Temtem evolves as its own experience and offers a vast, challenging adventure that even those without a Nintendo console can enjoy." Until we see how Pokemon Scarlet and Violet's multiplayer turns out, this looks like the best multiplayer Pokemon-like experience you're gonna get. I'm not exaggerating when I say Splatoon 3 was one of our most anticipated titles of the year. For good reason, as it ended up with a strong 83 on OpenCritic. Martin Robinson of Eurogamer said it best when he said, "There are a few surprises to be found in Splatoon 3's multiplayer or campaign, but it is the best Nintendo Spectacular series has been to date." With all the ease of play features we've been wishing for, we're inclined to agree. Andrew even managed to convince all our friends to get this, and we can confidently say this is the best Splatoon yet. Look forward to our review in the next couple weeks. Another title which made its official launch out of early access this month was Grounded. It received a strong 84 on OpenCritic and a very positive rating on Steam. Rock Paper Shotgun had this to say in their review: "Grounded is an incredibly rewarding survival experience that constantly pushes you into new areas of its reactive world, filled with insect inhabitants that are some of the best baddies in gaming." We're looking forward to playing the full release ourselves now that we can play the whole campaign, and especially since we've become quite the fans of co-op survival games this year.
Time to get into Gabe's favorite time of year, spooky season. Yes, it's October. I won't get too much into the weeds here with Overwatch 2, which is releasing its free-to-play multiplayer PvP on October 3rd, because we're still waiting for the highly anticipated co-op PvE side of things to drop next year. Let's hope they don't pull a Halo Infinite and push it back over a year past the launch date. More on that one later. We do occasionally go against the grain on this channel and review a PvP multiplayer game here or there, but we'll stick to Splatoon 3 for now and probably skip out on Overwatch 2. Falling Out is a co-op local 2-player indie game coming to PC and consoles this month, and it's basically Spelunky, but you play as a husband and wife duo lost on vacation. Premise aside, this looks like an interesting title. It's built from the ground up as a co-op title, differentiating itself from Spelunky, as you can use each other as platforms or throw each other as projectiles. There's also an interesting crafting system to further differentiate itself from its clear inspiration. Keep an eye out on this one, as it's supposed to release early this month on October 6th. Announced earlier this year in April, Fueled Up is set to release this month on the 13th. This is immediately recognizable as an Overcooked-like co-op game where you and up to 4 friends frantically run around keeping your ship from impending doom. This looks like a really solid entry in that genre, so if you've enjoyed its many iterations, at this point, definitely add this one to your list. Right in time for spooky season is Skier Ritual, a 4-player online co-op survival shooter. This is round-based, so I immediately think of good old-fashioned Call of Duty Zombies, and that is one of Gabe and I's favorites. You'll also have to face the occasional elite enemy, each with their own set of unique abilities that will shake up how you play. This is coming to early access for now, so just keep that in mind before you buy. Gabe is currently making plans to scare the living crud out of me at the end of the month, so add this to the list of potential ways for him to do exactly that. Okay, I am not entirely sure what to think of this one. The Last Oreku, I think that's how you say it, is a 2-player co-op action RPG with an emphasis on storytelling and player choices, set in a sci-fi medieval world with a deep skill-based combat RPG system. All their words, not mine, and that is a lot, and is certainly going to be tough to pull off for this indie studio. Looking at the pre-alpha footage, it's got a janky outward sheen that some of you are probably digging. others find it a total turnoff. The game boasts how you can diversify your character in co-op with unique builds, and even has specific spells you can only use in co-op. Now that's speaking our language. Hopefully they pull this all off when it releases on the 13th. If you followed our channel for a while, you'll know that we love to try out a good asymmetrical game. Ghostbusters Unleashed is our latest excuse to do just that. Choose to either play with friends cooperatively in 4-player squads, or choose to be the ghost and ruin their day. As the Ghostbuster, it's your job to trap the ghosts and close their rifts, and as the ghost, it's your goal to scare as many civilian NPCs as possible with your possession abilities. We've heard a lot of hype for this one from Kinda Funny's Greg Miller, who is a good bit biased when it comes to Ghostbusters, but hopefully that bodes well. In IGN's preview, Rebecca Valentine was hopeful that the silly nature and surprisingly in-depth match mechanics will turn out to be a great game. We are too, Rebecca, we truly are. The Last Hero of Nostalgia, yes, I am pronouncing that correctly, is a satirical action game that is basically a Souls-like, but majorly cringe. Seriously, watch this trailer and tell me it's not cringe. But it does have seamless 2-player co-op, several classes to choose from, and a treasure trove of weird mechanics. Not sure what to think of this one. It comes out on the 19th, so we'll let you know how it fared a month from now. Second Extinction is coming out of early access and makes its way towards Xbox systems later this month. Dinosaurs have taken over the planet, and it's your job to take it back. Claws, guns, action, it's everything we've ever wanted! With its 1.0 release, the trailer promised a vague more sequence, so take that how you will, I don't know. In all seriousness, the game currently has a mostly positive 73% on Steam, and does look like a fun time with 3 players in co-op. Expect it to be on Game Pass, and therefore worth a download and a look-see. Wait, this next game looks incredible. With Warhammer 40k Darktide just around the corner, we've all forgotten about its little cousin, Warhammer 40k Shoot Us, Blood and Teeth. A 2D run-and-gun co-op platformer that looks absolutely insane, and I am loving it. Hardcore Broforce energy here. You've got 4 different character classes to choose from, an arsenal of 20 weapons, and both online and local 4-player co-op for every console. Forget Gotham Knights, this is the big release of October. For Gork! Or Mork! Alright, let me come down from that high. Gotham Knights, all jokes aside, is the big release of this month. IGN recently gave it an excellent preview, seriously go check that video out, and has us properly hyped for this big release. Some of the standout co-op features they mentioned in the preview was shared character progression and the ability to drop in, drop out whenever you want. Plus, any story missions you accomplish in your friend's game can then be skipped in your own, so it's basically shared story progression on top of shared character progression. We've been back and forth on this title for a while now, but we're feeling positive at just the right time, as Gotham Knights finally releases on the 21st. Gunfire Reborn was released a year ago on PC, but it's coming over to Game Pass at the end of the month, so we just wanted to quickly mention it here. It's a level-based adventure game featuring first-person shooting, roguelite, and RPG elements. And of course, you can play it online 4-player co-op. Most notably, it has a 94% very positive Steam rating, so we're getting a bona fide banger on Game Pass, so time to add it to the backlog. And to cap off Spooky Month, we have No More Room in Hell 2, an 8-player action survival game where you and your squad have to survive living in an actual hell overrun by zombies, which seems apt. It's hard to get a good vibe on what this game is, which makes sense given that it's gonna be only an early access title. It's made by a small team of passionate developers working around their jobs to make this all happen. You love to see it, so if you enjoy co-op survival titles, maybe help them out, give it a play, and send in your feedback.
Let's start the news block with any updates that came out of the Nintendo Direct, while Andrew will fill us in on any new game announcements in just a bit. First, we have the news that It Takes Two will come to the little console that could on November 4th later this year. You can play this Game of the Year winner in local co-op using the Joy-Cons or online with a friend. Notably, the port will also make use of the Friend Pass system, meaning you only need 1 copy of the game in order to play with a friend online, which we're really happy they kept that feature. Couldn't recommend this game enough, so happy more people get to play it now. Another title making its way to the Switch is Endless Dungeon, just don't know when it sadly. If you've kept up with the monthly this year, you know this is an indie title we're very excited about. Concrete news on it has been slim, but it's good to know it's coming to the Switch as its top-down co-op action is perfect for this console. That's it for that half of the Nintendo Direct, so let's move on to some news on Tiny Tina's. That's right, if you like the Borderlands spinoff, then it looks like you'll be getting more in the future. Proven to be a big success in both sales and with critics, Gearbox is looking to turn the spin-off into its own bona fide franchise alongside the flagship games. We were a little less impressed by the title, but still had fun with the game. I'd like to see them push the formula a little bit further, and I'd be interested to see what more they could do with the tabletop setting. Lots of people like this co-op game though, so it's a win for co-op gamers any way you look at it. So we finally have the release date for the long-awaited co-op mode for Halo Infinite, or at least half of what we expected. In what became a very odd announcement, 343 announced the release of the online co-op campaign and Forge mode for November 8th later this year. But they also announced the cancellation of the local co-op mode. As this is a fixture of the Halo experience, that is a big bummer for some. But it gets weirder. Turns out some players have discovered a menu glitch that actually allows you to play in split-screen local co-op. I won't get into the specifics as how you do this, as it's a whole process, but yeah, the whole thing is kinda crazy. It'll likely get patched soon, which will draw more criticism towards 343, who honestly should go make a different game at this point. They've dropped the ball on Halo way too many times now. Alongside Nintendo Direct, Ubisoft held their Ubisoft Forward event highlighting all things Assassin's Creed. Amid all the new games coming out in the future was the news that Assassin's Creed Infinity, their live service thing coming soon, will bring back multiplayer to the franchise. Andrew and I actually played Assassin's Creed Unity's co-op mode, and while it was a buggy mess, it was kinda dope honestly. Hopefully Infinity leans into a more co-op approach for the multiplayer over the more competitive match-based approach that we've seen in some of the older games. Or both honestly, I'd take both. Conversely, here's a sequel that's actually removing a co-op mode. We got an update from the upcoming Mario + Rabbids Sparks of Hope game, which said the team wanted to focus on the solo experience and hence did not bring in the co-op mode from the last game. Originally introduced in an update to the last game, maybe a similar situation could happen where Sparks of Hope gets a co-op mode added post-launch. Who's to say? With Halloween officially on the horizon, I'm already looking for games to celebrate my favorite holiday with all of my unwilling friends of course. Which brings me to Phasmophobia's Apocalypse update. The new update adds a custom difficulty option and a new map in the Sunny Meadows Mental Institution? Yeah, that sounds terrifying. There's a host of new features like a new lobby, improvements to loadouts, and even certain ghost behaviors and abilities. I've been dying to play this for a long while now, and it looks like we just found our perfect excuse to jump in. If you prefer a more cooperative horror movie experience, then you'll be happy to hear that there's a new update to both the Man of Medan and Little Hope games, both part of the Dark Pictures anthology of course. Both titles are getting some improved UI, event triggers, accessibility options as part of their release on next-gen consoles. But Man of Medan is getting a whole new story chapter added titled Flooded. Oddly enough, Man of Medan seems to be one of the best games in the whole anthology despite 2 games coming after it, and many critics have praised its shared story and movie night modes, so I'd strongly suggest playing this on Halloween night.
Continuing the news with some new announcements, one of the many farming simulators shown during this month's Nintendo Direct, seriously, the memes were on point there, was Fae Farm. It's a 1 to 4 player online or local farm RPG coming in the spring of 2023. You've got your usual cultivate and crafting systems that most of these games have, but there's also a magic ability system that you'll use to explore the island's dungeons and take on enemies with. Overall, it looks like exactly what you'd expect out of a game called Fae Farm, so nailed it on the naming front. Kirby Return to Dreamland Deluxe was also announced at the Nintendo Direct, and I'm definitely feeling more hyped about this announcement. This is a remastering of the Wii game that saw Kirby teaming up with either duplicates of himself or his non-Kirby friends to save Dreamland from the usual apocalyptic enemies. 4-player local co-op is nothing to sneeze at, and if you're like me, you missed this when it came out on the Wii. I'm probably gonna have to miss it again, but I'm glad to see it came back for another go. PlayStation Showcase was sorely lacking in anything cooperative, but did you know that this mech game was PvEVP? Yeah, we had no idea either. PlayStation and those blog posts, am I right? Essentially, you're collecting crystals and you can run into other players online who may feel like taking you out to get your crystals. I'm not really sure, it's all kind of vague. I don't even know if there's anything that's cooperative about this game, so we'll just wait to hear more about it next year. A significantly more interesting reveal trailer from last month was Wild Hearts, EA and Dynasty Warrior developers' take on the Monster Hunter series. This space has been basically dominated by Capcom outside of that Dauntless game, and I don't really remember that making too much of a splash, correct me in the comments if I'm wrong, so there's definitely room for a new competitor. And the trailer looked great. One key separator was the Karakuri, a mechanic described as sophisticated mechanisms crafted from a lost ancient technology. Basically, they act as tools to help you trap or damage monsters, and again, it looked really cool. There's 3-player co-op, cross-play across all platforms, it's coming in February of next year, and we're getting more details in an extended debut trailer in just a couple of days on October 5th. What's not to like? I'll tell you what's not to like: Skull and Bones. Yup, I made a joke about how pigs are flying and Skull and Bones was released finally just a few weeks ago in a different video, but here we are, with its fifth delay. So now it's March 9th of next year. We'll see about that one. And finally, ending things off, I want to give a quick update on a game we've been interested in. Marauders is that PvEVP space loot game, and it's getting its early access release right as this video comes up on October 3rd. Check it out and let us know what you think.
That about does it for this edition of the Co-op Monthly. Thanks for watching, and consider showing us some support by subscribing, following us on socials, or joining us for a stream. We're currently streaming Dying Light 2 on Wednesday nights and starting Nobody's Taste the World this coming Monday, so come hang out with us on stream. We have a big channel update and surprise coming soon that we're really excited about, but you'll have to wait just a little longer to find out what it is. Either way, we'll catch you next time on another episode of The Co-op Bros.